the question of, so what's the linkage then between the nervous system and spirituality, that I think we're still say there's a power in these states that we all recognize without understanding. So as I said before, if a person is really in a good state and is able to maintain a good state, whatever good means, but like, let's say, regulated in an open, creative, emergent way of being with oneself and others, while you come and you're having a dark mood or you're having trouble, and you speak to the person, and this can be a good friend, this can be your mother, this can be a skilled therapist, whoever, can be a priest or a mentor or just an empathic human being that you meet somewhere, and is able to listen to you but not being drowned in the experience of like synchronizing, like syncing up with the spiral that you're in. You come out of this, probably have an opportunity to kind of sync up a little bit with what this person is experiencing without being disconnected from your own experience. You kind of get a little uplift or fresh air into your stuck routine of feeling however you're suffering or create your suffering. And when that happens, you probably come out of that conversation and feel like, oh, it was good. And you might most likely not know how to answer the question, so what did that person do? And even if you know what the person did, it's not it alone. So there is an inner state that gave rise to the action and to the words that was more powerful than the words alone. If a chatbot would ask you those questions, it might have, if the questions are good and the method is distilled well, again, it might have some effect. But the most powerful, and in a way, going a bit to the spooky side of the world, is like, we could say, in a way, if that, even if it's a chatbot, if there was something true about the person programming this, you kind of like programmed and wired some kind of like life force in there that speaks then through the machine and the chatbot. I mean, that's kind of like a crass example, but I think that's really how it works. But ideally, of course, the most effective place is to experience this in human relation, in a place where somebody is able to be with you. That's why we all know that this is the most effective way to create creativity and healing, like just to be with somebody that can be with you, can hold space for you. That phrase that's very often used in facilitation or therapy is like somebody's holding space for you. But what does that mean, really? It's that you yourself, in the state that you are, with the thing that you are busy with, you don't have creative space. Your energy is moving in a patterned way. So there's no creativity. It's like a closed loop. So you cannot think something new. All your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences, your state confirm each other. And then the most tangible expression of it is our body states or our emotions or our thoughts. And we're just feeling like, I cannot get out of that thought. And we all know when somehow space happens again, either through movement or through a new thought that came in. That's even a question. Did the thought came in create space, or something else happened, preceded the thought, and then the thought is an expression of space? So whenever something happened, and then you say like, oh yeah, now I feel a little bit different, or now I'm having a different thought. Or I was like, oh, I understood, this was actually just a little ghost of my past, and not to shame that, but to see like, yeah, that's something, and it wants to be seen. So it came up, and then now I understand, and now I'm maybe having a different thought about the conflict or a conversation that you had before. Before you couldn't have that thought, or even trying to make yourself think that thought wouldn't have an effect. And so when somebody holds space, when somebody does that for you, which means like the person is in a state that he or she can do that, and it's also a certain choice. It's not just like I have to be in the state, it's a state that I can train, and it's a place that also comes from a choice. I'll do that and I'll be there for you. Otherwise, as a therapist, you have to be in a good state all day long, and that's just not possible. Of course, the more you train, the more you practice, the more you know how to activate that state, but it's also a choice that you do. And the choice, again, creates space. The space creates an opportunity, the space creates capacity, and offers the other person a different way to in a co-regulating way, synchronized to a higher potential. If your therapist is a more depressed mood than you are, like really, while you talk to him, it can still give you good questions and reflections. You might feel like, yeah, it was good questions, but most likely, and I don't want to make it like that's how it is, but talking about likelihood, most likely you will not come out so refreshed.